Hey guys, hey, what's up? Hey, I just want to take another few minutes to just kind of hang out with you together here on another episode of Hillside. I thought, why not enjoy the beautiful day, come out and hang out, enjoy this. Man, what a beautiful weekend we had. It was wonderful. Yesterday was amazingly warm. I loved it. Um, we got to go get some plants and put some veggies and flowers in the ground. That's always one of my favorite times of the year is to take dirt that's been dormant and it just seems useless, just like it's dirt. And but then you to put stuff in it and to plant it and then just watch over the course of the spring and the summer, just watch these little bitty leafy plants become abundance, become life, through vegetables and cucumbers and squash and zucchini and my favorite tomatoes and cherry tomatoes. I love when I'm out mowing in the summer and it's hot and I need a snack. I'll just reach over and grab a couple tomatoes out the vine and it's just refreshing. It's just nourishing. It's like that little tomato, that little morsel satisfied me and brought me joy and brought me just just a sweet feeling of getting to enjoy all the hard work that my wife does by planting and putting the seeds in the ground and watering it and nurturing it and checking on it daily, that I get to reap the reward of tasting this sweet, 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 sweet tomato. So it's just exciting. I love this time of year. I love it. It's just beautiful out here today. Was beautiful. The rain was good. We went for a really nice long walk. I love walking with my girl. I love hearing the birds. I love hearing this time of year because it's just about life rejuvenating itself. And we all, even in this time of this illness going around and this virus going around, we still, as humanity, as humans, just have that longing in our spirit to hear life just being rejuvenated again. We hear the birds and we see the flowers growing and we hear our neighbors out, and the kids running up and down the street. It's just wonderful. I love this time of year. This is probably between April and June is probably my favorite time of the year. It's not too hot yet. The sun's out till 8 o'clock. It's like you get to reap the reward of treading through a winter, where it seems like life is on standstill. It's cold, it's bitter, but when we come out on that other side, we get to come into the springtime of the season and just see all that life rejuvenating again. It just puts a yearning in my soul and my heart to just enjoy life more and just cherish it more. Like like today we're going to talk about two very distinctive guys who lived their lives completely separate and the consequences of both. And I just hope that this story, I don't want it to be a story of condemnation or guilt or whatever. I just want it to be a story where we can always hope to remember, to always try to find the humanity in somebody's tragedy. That no matter what somebody's going through, they're still human beings. They're still humans. They still have emotions. They still have desires and dreams and hurts and hang-ups, just like we all do. And when we can see the humanity in them, even in their tragedy, I think, man, we just approach it differently. I know in my heart that we would approach that situation and that person differently. I have a good friend of mine that struggles a lot, and I hear so many people just come up with one reason or another why this poor guy is struggling. But the reason for it isn't important to me. I always try to just hang out with him, say hi to him, give him a hug when I can, just encourage him. And the joy that it brings both of us in that moment is just absolutely just unexplainable, unimaginable. I just can't even begin to explain the joy knowing that for that moment, all we see is each other's humanity and our desire to just love each other. And it's exciting when that happens. But I think far too often when, and I'm guilty of this too, you see a situation and how often is it, if it makes us uncomfortable, how easy is it for us to just turn our heads or to explain them away or to explain that situation or to even not even count them less than worthy to draw your attention. Jesus is talking here, and it's one of the most famous parables that Jesus has told for me, because it really kind of, other than Matthew 25:35, where it talks about, feeding the sick, going to those in prison, clothing those who are naked, and doing all that. And Jesus says, when you do that to me. When you take care of the least of these, you do that for me. So that's my life verse. That's really what I try to do when Jesus does through me. But this story here really is one that kind of really just helps to keep my eyes open, because sometimes we think all we need is what we got, and this poor guy realized, unfortunately too late, that what he had really wasn't what he needed, and what the guy who didn't have really had what he needed. And it's flipped. I know it's hard to fathom that in this world of, oh, we got to have the latest everything. We got to have this. I'm a huge Nike fan. I love Nike. I got to have everything Nike, and it's and I get that, and but it doesn't define me. It's just something, that I like, and I know we all have these things, and so I just want to share this story with you. I just want to read it as Jesus said it, and then just kind of just let you guys just ponder on that, and hopefully, like I said, through this we can just begin to realize that no matter what people are going through, how their lives are, what situations they're going through, they're still humans. They're still brothers and sisters, and when we can see that in the moment, instead of the excuses or the reasons why they're in the moment, but seeing the humanity that they still are in that moment, I just think it just changes everything for us. So this is the story of the rich man and Lazarus. Now I'm going to set this up for you. Jesus is talking, and he's giving all these different parables, and he's trying to explain, what heaven's like. He's teaching about forgiveness and what faith looks like. And he's teaching about just all sorts of different things. And he comes to this story, and he shares this story because, a lot of people have come to him at this point and said, what should I do? What should I do? What should I do to follow you? And Jesus says, sell everything you have and follow me. And that turned a lot of people away. A lot of people at that were like, you had me till sell everything. Because back then it was about possessions. How much wealth could they accumulate? How much could they store in their barns, when Jesus clearly says, don't store up treasures in your barn, because you never know when the master's going to come and require you to stand before him. And all that treasure and all that they gathered up was not going to go with them. It was probably going to go to somebody else, who's probably going to end up selling it all and going to buy a whole bunch of other stuff. So he's working through that, and then he shares this story. He says, there was a certain rich man who was splendidly clothed in purple and fine linen, and who lived each day in luxury. But at his gate there lay a poor man named Lazarus, who was covered with sores. As Lazarus lay there longing for scraps from the rich man's table, he sat there longing for just a scrap. I mean, I don't know if any of us have ever gotten to the point in our life where the mere thought of somebody else's scraps would make us happy, would satisfy us. I don't think I ever have. I don't know if any of you out there have ever gotten to the point where scraps from somebody else's table, it would be what we would long for and hope for, you know. And as he laid there, the dogs would come and lick his open sores. I mean, it's just, here's this poor guy laying at this guy's gate, hoping for the chance of a morsel, for just a little bit. Now, in those days, people walked by, they probably didn't even see Lazarus because they probably were too in awe of the guy's house. I'm sure it was a mansion back then. Gate, beautiful trees, flowers, you know, whatever they used to display their wealth back then. They probably walked by this guy, Lazarus, laying against the gate, just covered in sores. And people probably looked down at him and didn't see a human being there, didn't see the humanity in his situation. They just saw this poor guy who probably, to them, probably deserved what he was getting. You know, there had to be some reason why this guy was covered in sores, begging for scraps at a rich man's gate. There's got to be a reason. This guy, he must have done something wrong. Something. It must be a curse on him. He must have done something wrong. We don't know why Lazarus is laying there. We don't know. Jesus never tells us why he has sores on him. And I don't think that is the reason why, because I think Jesus wants us to see the humanity of Lazarus in this moment. And so he says, finally, the poor man died and was carried by the angels to sit beside Abraham at the heavenly banquet. This kid who had nothing on this earth, by their standards back then, was a nothing. Didn't even deserve to get the scraps from a man's table. It wasn't even worth for them to shoo the dogs away who were licking at his sores. In this life, had nothing. But when he died, he had you know, just angels carrying him to heaven. I just can picture that. These angels coming to get him and carrying him to heaven, and just what a sight Lazarus probably thought. It's like, no more begging for me. Instead of eating scraps, begging for scraps from the rich man's table, I'm going to get to eat a meal at the master's table, at the king's table. And what a joy he must have felt in his heart to go from a life of nothing. But he realized, he knew he had Jesus. He had the hope of Jesus. He had God. Even though he didn't have anything on the outside, he had everything he needed on the inside. Now, the rich man dies a little later. This guy who had everything on the outside, but had nothing on the inside, he didn't have the hope of Jesus. He didn't proclaim the good news. He didn't have this. He thought his riches were going to get him through. He thought the things that he accumulated was going to get him through, instead of realizing that what Jesus did was going to be enough to get him through. What Jesus did on the cross was going to be enough to get him through. He thought his whole life, oh, I just keep storing up stuff. Keep storing up stuff. This is it. This is going to be it for me. And he went to what Jesus calls a place of torment. Which the picture here is just so ironic. It's just so, here's Lazarus, who was tormented his entire earthly life, now being comforted and cared for in heaven, sitting at Abraham's side, comfort for eternity. And here's this rich man who had comfort in this life, who had everything, who he thought he had everything he needed in this life, was now in this place of torment. And he quickly realized that the way he lived his life was not obviously what was the right way. And here's the harder part for me. Here's the hard part for me. Here's the part of the story that really just gets me to try to just look at people and just try to see humanity and see them. Because he says he sees Abraham in the distance with Lazarus. I can't even imagine being in this place separated from God, you know, and looking up and being able to see heaven and see Lazarus and see Abraham. And the rich man shouted, "Abraham, have pity." Oh my gosh, how many times did Lazarus ask for pity at his gate? How many years? I don't even know how long Lazarus was there. But I'm sure every day as he's longing from scraps at his table, he's probably begging for pity, for mercy, for recognition, for humanity, for love, for tenderness, begging all this. And now he's being comforted. And now here's the rich man begging for pity, begging for mercy, saying, "Send Lazarus over here to dip the tip of his finger and cool my tongue," because he's just in anguish in the torment and the flames. He's just, you know, tormented. But Abraham said to him, and I'd like to picture Abraham looking down on him with love, not love and sadness at the loss. You know, he said, you know, "Son, remember that during your lifetime you had everything you wanted, and Lazarus had nothing. Nothing. You didn't realize who was laying at the gate. You had everything. You had a great life. This guy had nothing. By your standards, he had a horrible life. But in the end, you know, nothing led to everything, and everything led to nothing." And so it was just, he said, you know, and he says, Abraham's at this point says, "Even if I wanted to, I couldn't, because there's just this great divide separating us. You can't come here and I can't come there." And, you know, which is just another ironic that keeps me going, knowing that I'm going to keep going while there's still hope and a chance. Because here in this life, when people are struggling or in torment or in anguish or whatever, we can go to them and they can come to us. We can go to them with love and mercy and humility, and they can come to us and ask for help. They can come to that. You can come to my house, and if you're thirsty, I can give you a glass of water. You know, I can help you with that. I can take your burdens off. There's going to be a point when that's not going to be able to be the case anymore. And I think we, as Christians, should always be on the lookout for the Lazaruses in our life. Those who are, by today's standard, worthless. The more somebody calls somebody the worthless, more I find value in them. Because I know that when I'm serving them and I'm helping them, I'm doing it to Jesus, and I'm doing it for Him, and I'm getting to experience the rich reward of watching Jesus heal this guy, to bring a smile to this guy, you know, and just bring laughter back to somebody's life. I love it. That's the best way I love to try to help people that I know that are struggling, is laughter. I'm not very good at it, But I will crack a joke until you at least smile or walk away. And luckily, most times they're smiling as they walk away. But I just get excited for that. And when I can look into somebody's eyes and I can see their humanity in their eyes, it's amazing. I love it. I love it. It's just exciting. And so then after this rich guy realizes that this is it. This is all that. This is my reward. He begs Abraham to send Lazarus back, which is ironic because now the same Lazarus who he probably ignored for years, whatever, go away. You're not getting anything. I'm not helping you. Now he's asking for Lazarus to go back and try to save his brothers. Because this guy now realizes that having everything without Jesus is nothing in the end. And Abraham is like, but we sent you Moses. We sent you all the prophets. God sent all the prophets. God brings all these things into your life, and you didn't ignore them. You ignored them. And the rich man says, I know, but if you bring somebody from the dead, they'll listen to him. They will have a life-changing experience. And Abraham's like, if they didn't listen to Moses and they didn't listen to the prophets, they're not going to listen to a man who came back from the dead. I just kind of it's just hard. And then so that's the end of the story. And it's just one of those things. It's hard for me to really. I just wanted to share that because it's one of the great stories that I like, because I just want people to know that just because they feel like they don't have anything, or they don't feel like they don't belong, or that they're just left to lie at the gate begging, that Jesus sees that, and Jesus is sending people into your life to help you recover and to help you walk away from that gate fulfilled and satisfied. It's like a couple of weeks ago I talked about the poor guy that was sitting at the gates of the temple at Jerusalem, and people would just walk by and be like, "Oh man, it's that guy again. Man, they gotta build another gate. I'm tired of going through this gate." How many times have we done that in our own lives, in our own walk? We'll see somebody, a homeless guy, or somebody that just annoys us, and we're like, "Oh man, how can I get out of here? It's got to be another way for me to go." And so this guy just endured that for I don't even know how long. And along comes Peter. And he's begging Peter for money, and Peter says, "You don't need money. You need Jesus." And then Peter says, "Get up and walk." And immediately, I love it how when Jesus does things, almost immediately after comes the word immediately. Immediately the guy got up. It wasn't like his, the road runner when he ate the earthquake pills, or the coyote. Back in the day, Coyote and Roadrunner. I'm dating myself here, but I used to watch that show, and this guy would always try to get the Roadrunner. So he was going to create an earthquake, and he was going to somehow be able to capture the Roadrunner through this. So he's chasing this Roadrunner, and he accidentally swallows an earthquake pill. And he's standing there, and he's like, and all of a sudden his toe starts. And it was a gradual thing. And then all of a sudden his whole body, he's just bouncing around. That's not what happens when God intercedes in our life. Immediately the guy got up and walked into the temple. And all these people that probably had just walked by him 10 minutes ago were going, Hey Joseph, wasn't that the guy that was just laying at the gate crippled, begging for change? And now he's running and dancing through the church? Through the temple? I'm telling you, man, we can still bring that to people in their lives. We can still give people those moments when we stop and we give them what they really need. And that's Jesus. And we can do that. We can find those people, especially in these times. I mean, you don't have to look very far to find somebody who's struggling, who's suffering. You know, if you go out to eat, if you do carry out and take out, you know, and you just got a guy that you like or a girl that you like that's a waiter, give them a little extra. You know, just help them. Let them know that I see you. I see that you're struggling. And we want to lift you up. We got to be Jesus to these guys, to these people. Because Jesus looks down and he says, I see you. When he talked to Moses on the Mount Sinai, yeah. And when he's talking on the mount, when he's talking on the mount, he said, I hear the cries of my people. And he's still on the mountain hearing the cries of his people and hearing the cries of this world. And he's sending us all out as he did Moses. Go. Go out into the world. Go find the humanity and the tragedy. And go bless somebody. Go let them know that they're loved. Go let them know that they're cared for before it's too late. Reach out. Connect with somebody. Love somebody. You know, it's great. I love meeting people. I love getting to hang out with people. I love to get to know their stories. I love getting to know everything about them. I love that they get to know about me. And it's just exciting. It's just fun. It's just like when I hear of all these stories in the Bible of the apostles and Paul and Titus and Luke and all these guys just meeting with people, I just get excited because I just imagine the joy that they get when they get to meet people and they get to hear people. You know, when Peter is called to go to the centurion's house, and people are like, oh, you can't go in that guy's house. He's a Gentile. You can't go in there. But what a blessing that was. That whole family got saved because Peter knew it wasn't about being Jewish or a Gentile. It was about presenting an opportunity for them to get to know the one true King. The one that died for that centurion, that Gentile, you know, and his whole household. You know, when Paul was in church or in prison and the walls came down and the doors opened and the guy came in and he was so afraid that they all escaped, but everybody was there. Salvation was brought that day. A whole household was saved because of faith, because they knew what they were called to do, you know? And it's just, I just want us to realize that, you know, we are called to be disciples and to raise disciples up and to seek out those who are hurting and lost and scared and sad and struggling with stuff, and just, you know, the world is just full of division and hurts and just, but we, you know, God calls us to be a light in all that, you know, to just enjoy fellowship with God and enjoy fellowship with His creation. You know, there's not one person on this planet that doesn't deserve fellowship, that doesn't deserve to know the good news, that doesn't deserve to enjoy the comfort of the fellowship at the table. You know, everybody deserves that. You know, it's just wonderful. And just reading through all the words that Jesus spoke, you know, it all had a foundation of love and humanity. Jesus was like, I see you. I see you, blind man. I see you, Lazarus in the tomb. I see you, man with a withered hand. I see you, little girl who's died. I see you. But I see the humanity in this. And I see the hope for restoration. And I see the hope for forgiveness and for grace and for a new life. I see that. And so as we're enjoying this time of new life in this springtime, yes, with this virus going around, we can still find all those things in ourselves and in other people, just as Jesus did all those thousands of years ago, as He's still doing on His throne when He looks down on His creation. He still sees opportunities for hope, for grace, for forgiveness, for love, for connection, and for redemption, and for salvation, and for connection, and for any just anything. He loves us. And we love you here at East to West, and we're just excited that we could just take a few minutes to just be with you. I love you. I just hope you guys have a great week. It's supposed to be a nice week. If you guys are going to do some planting this week, you know, have fun. Like I said, I'm out here. I'm looking at my wife's. Well, let's see if I can get. There's some flowers there. Flowers there. There's flowers over there. Those red ones I love the most. She planted a bunch of stuff out in the garden. Uh-oh, where'd it go? I must have flipped the thing around. There we go. So anyway, so just have a great week, guys. And just know there's always chance for fellowship. And I can't wait to hang out with you guys. I just love you guys. Have a great week. Stay safe. Stay healthy. And we'll just see you again next week. And just have a great week, guys. Remember, always remember, Jesus is always on the throne looking down in love. And just smiling at you. Just excited to know you and to get to know you. And for you to get to know Him. Have a great week, guys.